Hey, I'm Smitesh Mistry, an illustrator and content creator. Fun fact about me, I got my first paintbrush from a Christmas cracker. Join me in this exclusive class on how you can use AI to break through your creative block. Now that we've sketched out the prompts that ChatGPT has given us and we've chosen the one that we want to move forward with, what I like to do before refining the sketch is to head into Adobe Firefly to help me gain some reference images based on this very specific illustration. So before I go into Firefly, what I like to do is just kind of analyze past this illustration, which I would want some help with, or some reference images. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this and make it slightly bigger just for referencing purposes. So for me, trying to imagine what body position a character could be in can be difficult. And trying to search on Google or Pinterest for a reference image, you could spend hours just searching. So this is the first thing I'm going to search in Adobe Firefly. So just the way in which that the character is stood, you want to make it as convincing as possible. And like mentioned, with this illustration, it's the character's facing a challenge. So one thing that came to mind is we could potentially have this character walking up a hill. So that could be another thing that we could prompt the AI software with. Secondly, a character holding a backpack. What kind of posture or what body language would that character have? So trying to sketch that and communicate that through the illustration is important. So that's the second thing that I'm going to search reference images for. And then finally, this could just be an optional one, but a very specific wardrobe. So say if you want the character to be wearing an apron with paint stains, or if you want a character dressed in like loungewear, this is something you can also prompt the AI software with. So let's head over to Adobe Firefly and let's start chucking in the prompts and seeing what images we get back. So I'm just going to search it as if I'm trying to ask for a very specific image. So I'm going to start off by saying a character walking up a hill. In this case, because it's representing me, I'm going to say a male character walking up a hill. Okay, so as you can see here, the type of reference images given us isn't exactly what I've sketched. So one thing I need to tell it is to give us a side view of this character walking up a hill. So I've got a side view of a male character walking up a hill. And let's click generate and see what comes up. So this is perfect. We've got a few different options in which we can see how the limbs, so the legs, the body, the head, how they're all working together to kind of communicate that the character is walking up a hill. So at this stage, what I like to do is I like to take either a screenshot or a picture of this using the iPad and then start sketching a framework over these images just to kind of build mine out a bit further. One thing I do find helpful is on the side of this, you can choose the style. So we've got photo, graphic, or art. Sometimes I find photo a lot easier as it does relate a lot more to the way in which a character can walk, as I feel like the cartoon or the graphic ones can kind of communicate a bit of personality or their own style already added to that, which is not what we want. Remember, we're just using these as a tool. So one thing I've realized with this type of AI software is the more that you describe it, the more accurate the result will be. So at the moment, I've got a side view of a male character walking up a hill, but as you can see here, I want both legs in display because I quite like this one here, where you can see it's uphill and you can see the character, but it's only giving me one leg. So let's refer and let's add in where both legs are visible. And sometimes the thing with AI, it's not always going to give you what you're looking for. Remember, it's just a tool. It's not going to do the job for you. Okay, so what you'll find with this is you will have to play around with it a little bit, change the prompts, change the filters on the side, just to kind of gain the images or generate the images that you're looking for specifically. So what I've done now is I've changed the prompt. So I just changed it to a side view of a male walking up a hill. And then I've changed some of the filters on the side. So I've changed to a graphic and then ticked hyper realistic. There is an image here that I do like and I feel it'll work perfectly for this illustration. So my normal process is to go in and take a picture of this and then start applying this over this sketch. Or you could take a screenshot if that's more helpful for you. So what I like to do is copy the sketch onto a new artboard, fill the page with it, and then start applying the references that we're searching onto this illustration. So I'm going to reduce the opacity. And I'm going to go in and take a picture of the reference that I like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce the opacity on this one, and I'm only using this reference image as a frame for the character, almost like a skeleton. So let me show you how I do this. So on a new layer, I've dropped the opacity of the reference image, and then on the layer above it, I'm going to start sketching this. So what I like to do is just go in and sketch in the bones. See here, as you can see, the reference image hasn't generated a foot, but I'm just going to go in and imagine where it'd be. And then the overall body language is slightly in forwards, and then we've got the head here. And with the arms, what I want it to feel is like this bag's heavy. You're carrying all these supplies with you. So I'm going to head back into Adobe Firefly and trying to find a reference of a character with their elbows bent, just to kind of make sure that the character's body language is representing what I'm trying to communicate. So what I've searched is a side view of a character with both their arms holding a heavy backpack. So because the character that we're illustrating is the character from its side, only one arm's going to be visible. So for this reference, I'm just going to be using how this arm's placed on the backpack. So again, I'm going to take a picture and then start adding it to this illustration. And as you can see, the image is the wrong way. So I'm just going to go in and flip this. And again, reduce the opacity and put it behind the sketch. And I'm just going to scale it on how I want to use it. So with this, you can see that the arm is at this type of angle. So I'm just going to try to recreate this on my frame. One thing to bear in mind is, depending on the style that you illustrate, incorporate this into the skeleton that you're doing. So with me, a lot of my characters are highly out of proportion. So they've got long legs, tiny torso, and then long arms, and then small head. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you this initial skeleton, and then I'm going to go in and change it depending on my style. And now again, I'm going to be using this character as a reference for the backpack too. So in here, it's landing at its hip area. So on here, it's going to be around here. But you'll see what I do. This is just the initial reference, and I'm going to go in and then further develop this. This looks very basic right now, and you may be thinking, how are you going to get from this to illustration? But the next thing I like to do is just kind of, I call it adding the meat back on the bones again. So making sure your proportions are all right, and then adding in the limbs, adding the muscles and all that type of stuff. So I'm just going to go in now and start adding this. And you'll see as I'm doing this, I'm going to be changing this skeleton. This is just a base. Now I'm going to change it to how the proportion of my characters generally are. So I'm going to go in, make the legs a lot longer, and then shorten the upper body. So this is what it looks like once I've altered the proportions according to my illustration. Now let's go in and start adding in the flesh. So I'm going to reduce the opacity on this layer, and then using the initial sketch I did as reference, and start adding in more detail. What also I like to do is just keep these reference images at the side, just so you can refer back to them. So the reason why I've done this is I want to see which leg was in front. So you can see the leg that's closest to us is the one that's at the back. So let's add that in too. So what I'm doing here is, with this reference image, I'm just seeing how the bottom of the strap interacts with the bottom of the rucksack. So you can see it's coming here, then it's attaching down here. I'm just going to do the same with this. And I'm using this reference image of the placement of the head. It's going to be slightly forward compared to the shoulders. So we'll turn off the reference images and the skeleton. So we're slowly getting closer to the final outcome. So here's the second version. So the first one is the thumbnail. Then we have the skeleton, and then we build upon the skeleton using the reference images that we found. Okay, so now that we've got the base sketch of the character, I'm going to go into Adobe Firefly again and see what kind of environments and mountains or hills and stuff that it can provide me, just to kind of give me some more inspiration of the environment that this character can be walking in. Thanks for joining me on this lesson. This was one part of my full class on Skillshare about how you can use AI to break through your creative block. Join me in the full class to learn about how you can use AI to break through your creative block. Click the link down below. I can't wait to see you there.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our latest videos.